Welcome to another episode of Extreme Expat Stories of Thailand. Hey there, long time lurker, first time writer. My name is Donnie Webb, and I'm sending you this because I need to get it out. What happened to me in Bangkok between June and August of 2024 still keeps me up at night. Some people go to Thailand and find themselves. I went there and nearly lost everything: my money, my sanity, and almost my life. 3 times. This isn't one of those I ate a scorpion and got food poisoning stories. This is about how a city I thought would save me almost destroyed me instead. And here's the thing, I'd do it all again. Because those 47 days taught me more about who I am than 28 years of playing it safe ever did. Let me paint you a picture of my life before Thailand. I was living in Nottingham, working as an insurance claims processor in a grey cubicle under fluorescent lights that hummed like dying bees. Every morning I'd wake up at 6:47 a.m. Not 6:45, not 6:50, exactly 6:47. Because that's how regimented my life had become. Eat the same breakfast, take the same bus, and process the same endless stream of car accident reports. My girlfriend of 4 years, Emma, had just left me for a personal trainer named Chad. Yes, actually Chad. My flatmate Liam spent every evening playing FIFA and eating dominoes on the couch we bought together at IKEA. My mom kept asking when I was going to get serious about life and buy a house. I was 28 years old and felt 58. Then one Tuesday in May of 2024, during my lunch break, I was scrolling Instagram and saw this video of Khao San Road. Neon signs, backpackers dancing in the street, a guy breathing fire while tourists cheered. The caption said, "Bangkok never sleeps." Something inside me cracked open. I opened Google Flights. There was a sale, Manchester to Bangkok, £389 round trip. I stared at the screen for probably 10 minutes. My sandwich got cold. Janet from accounting walked past and asked if I was okay. I wasn't okay. I was trapped. So I did something completely insane. I went back to my desk, opened my email, and typed out my 2 weeks notice. Hit send before I could think about it. Then I booked the flight. The confirmation email felt like a key turning in a lock I didn't know existed. When I told my family that weekend, you'd think I'd announced I was joining a cult. My dad said, "Bangkok? Isn't that where people go to disappear?" My mom cried and said I'd end up on one of those documentaries about British tourists in foreign prisons. My younger sister, Poppy, was the only one who got it. She hugged me and whispered, "Go be brave for both of us." I had £8,400 in savings. Everything I'd scraped together from 5 years of that soul-crushing job. It felt like a fortune. It felt like freedom. June 12th of 2024. I'll never forget walking out of Suvarnabhumi Airport in that wall of heat. It was like stepping into a warm bath made of humidity and possibility. The air smelled like jasmine and jet fuel and something cooking that I couldn't identify and immediately wanted to eat. I'd booked 3 nights at a hostel called the Wanderer's Rest in Silom. I got a really cheap deal, but it was for a bed in an 8-person dorm. The taxi ride from the airport was my first real taste of Bangkok. The driver didn't speak English. I didn't speak Thai. But somehow, through pointing and nodding and Google Translate, we became friends. His name was Sarawut, and he showed me photos of his daughter who was studying engineering. He gave me his card and said, "You need ride? You call." The hostel was exactly what I'd imagined from all those travel blogs I'd devoured. Fairy lights strung across a rooftop bar, backpackers from everywhere drinking Chang beer, someone playing guitar badly but enthusiastically. I met my bunkmates within an hour. Declan, an Irish lad taking a gap year before law school. Yuki, a Japanese girl traveling solo after quitting her corporate job in Tokyo, and Rafael, a Brazilian who'd been bouncing around Southeast Asia for 6 months and claimed to know all the secrets. That first night, we hit Khao San Road. If you've never been, imagine every party you've ever been to compressed into 4 blocks of pure chaos. Bass pumping from competing bars, street vendors grilling meat on sticks, backpackers with neon paint smeared across their faces, tuk-tuk drivers aggressively offering rides, and everywhere those famous bucket drinks. Rafael grabbed my shoulder and shouted over the music. Rule number 1 in Bangkok: never drink alone, never lose sight of your mates, and never, ever accept drinks from strangers. He was grinning like this was all a game. We ended up at a place called Electric Paradise. The music was so loud my ribcage vibrated. We ordered bucket drinks, literally beach buckets filled with Thai whiskey, Red Bull, and Coke, with about 6 straws sticking out. They cost 180 baht each, roughly 4 quid. I remember thinking, this is dangerous and exactly what I came here for. The night blurred into a beautiful mess, dancing with strangers, learning Thai drinking toast, Chong Gao, Declan trying to impress some Swedish girls with terrible pickup lines. Yuki disappeared for an hour and came back with a temporary tattoo of a tiger on her arm. I felt more alive than I had in years. Then I made my first stupid mistake. Around 2 a.m., I needed the bathroom. The club's toilet was disgusting. Flooded floor. No toilet paper. Graffiti in 7 languages. When I came out, I bumped into this Thai guy named Krit. Super friendly. Early 30s. Spoke perfect English. He said he was a local and offered to show me some authentic Bangkok spot tourists never find. Rafael had wandered off somewhere. Declan and Yuki were making out in a corner. That was fast. Krit seemed legit. He showed me photos on his phone of him and his friends at various Bangkok restaurants. He had this easy smile that made you want to trust him. There's this rooftop place in Sukhumvit, he said. Secret spot. Amazing views. Cheap drinks. Real Thai people. Not this tourist trap stuff. I should have said no. I should have found Rafael. I should have done literally anything else. Instead, I said, fuck it, let's go. We grabbed a tuk-tuk, just me and Krit and another Thai guy named Prawit who appeared out of nowhere, apparently Krit's cousin. The tuk-tuk ride took about 20 minutes, winding through streets that got progressively darker and emptier. The neon gave way to shadowy sois, with stray dogs and shuttered shops. Almost there, Krit kept saying. We pulled up to this building that looked nothing like a fun rooftop bar. It looked like an abandoned office block. No lights, no music, no people. That's when my drunk brain finally caught up with reality. Mate, I don't think, I started to say. Krit's smile disappeared. Prawit grabbed my arm. Hard. Give phone and wallet, Krit said, his English suddenly much more clipped. No problem, no fighting, just give. My heart stopped. This was happening. This was actually fucking happening. I was getting mugged in a dark alley in Bangkok because I'd been too drunk and too trusting and too stupid. I tried to pull away. Prawit twisted my arm behind my back. The pain shot up on my shoulder like electricity. Krit reached into my pocket and pulled out my iPhone. Then my wallet with all my cash and cards. My passport's in there, I said stupidly, as if they'd care. That for fee, Krit said. Then he patted my cheek, not hard, but the gesture was so condescending it made my blood boil. Welcome to real Bangkok. They got back in the tuk-tuk and disappeared. I stood there in the dark alley, drunk and alone and robbed. And for the first time since leaving Nottingham, I thought, what the hell have I done? I had no phone to call anymore. No money for a taxi. I didn't know where I was or how to get back. I started walking, following the vague direction we'd come from. And after about 45 minutes of wandering through sleeping neighborhoods with barking dogs, I found a main road. A kind motorcycle taxi driver saw me, probably noticed I looked absolutely wrecked, and in broken English asked if I needed help. I barely held it together. I gave him the hostel name. He didn't ask for money up front, just nodded and told me to hold on. When we got back to Ceylon, I tried to pay him with nothing, because I had nothing. He saw my face and just waved me off. My perai, he said. Never mind, it's okay. I wanted to cry. Back at the hostel, Raphael was furious when I told him what happened. I told you rule number 1, he shouted. Declan, now sober and guilty about abandoning me, helped me cancel my cards online using his laptop. Yuki made me instant noodles from the hostel kitchen. I'd lost my iPhone, my wallet with £300 in cash, all my cards, and stupidest of all, my UK driving license that had been in the wallet. The only thing I still had was my passport. Day 2 in Bangkok, already broke and traumatized. But that was just the appetizer. I spent the next week lying low, barely leaving the hostel except to get food from 7-Eleven. I had contacted my bank back home, got emergency cards sent to the hostel, and my parents wired me £500 with a lecture attached about seeing sense and coming home. I felt like an idiot. Raphael kept trying to cheer me up. Bangkok's still amazing, mate. You just had bad luck. Lightning doesn't strike twice. Famous last words. By the following Saturday, I was going stir crazy. Raphael had met those 2 American guys at the hostel, Tyler and Brandon, both 25, both from California, both the kind of aggressively confident Americans who think the world is their playground. They were planning to do a full moon party boat trip down to one of the islands, and they'd bought an extra ticket for cheap. Come with us, Raphael insisted. It'll be epic. Swimming, music, meeting people. You need this. I hesitated. I really did. But the thought of spending another weekend hiding in my bunk while everyone else had adventures made me feel pathetic. Okay, I said, but I'm staying sober this time. We took a bus south to the coast, a cramped, non-air conditioner hell of a ride that took 6 hours. Tyler and Brandon spent the whole time comparing Thailand to that time in Mexico and rating Thai women out of 10, which made me progressively more uncomfortable. But Raphael was there, and he was solid people, so I stuck with it. The boat was waiting at this sketchy dock, a converted long-tail boat blasting EDM, covered in neon decorations, with about 60 people already drinking. The crew were all young Thai guys who looked barely 20. The captain was smoking a cigarette and didn't appear to have any safety equipment visible. Travel sources later noted that in 2024 there were 5 deadly boat accidents in a single week involving tourists, but I didn't know that then. I just saw party vibes and people having fun. We set off around 5 p.m. The sunset was genuinely stunning. Orange and pink bleeding across the water, islands in silhouette. For a moment, I forgot about being robbed. I forgot about my shitty life back home. I was just there, in that moment, feeling the salt spray and hearing people laugh. Tyler handed me a beer. You gotta let loose, Donnie. This is Thailand. I took it. 1 beer wouldn't hurt. The party ramped up as darkness fell. Someone broke out a speaker. Neon paint came out and people started covering each other in it. I ended up dancing with a Scottish girl named Fiona, who was traveling with her best friend. She was funny and real, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something like happiness. Then the weather changed. It started with wind. Suddenly the boat was rocking harder. Someone laughed nervously. The captain shouted something in Thai to his crew. They started pulling down some of the decorations. Probably just being careful, Raphael said, but his eyes looked worried. The rain came all at once. Not gentle tropical rain, but violent sheets of water. Thunder cracked so loud my ears rang. The boat pitched sideways and someone screamed. The music cut out. In the sudden silence, we could hear the wind howling and the waves slamming against the hull. "Everyone sit down," one of the Thai crew yelled in English. We tried. The boat lurched again. I grabbed the railing. The neon lights flickered and died. Now we were in the darkness except for lightning flashes that lit up everyone's terrified faces in strobe. The captain was shouting orders. 2 crew members were trying to secure something at the front. Water was pooling at our feet. This was bad. This was really, really bad. Then I heard it. A sound like wood splintering. The boat tilted hard to the left. "We're going over," someone screamed. And we did. I don't remember the actual capsize moment. My brain has mercifully blocked it out. What I remember is being underwater in complete darkness, not knowing which way was up. My lungs burning. I broke the surface, gasping. Chaos everywhere. People screaming in the dark. The boat was sideways, half submerged. Debris floating. Thunder still cracking overhead. "Raphael," I screamed. "Fiona!" A wave slammed me under again. Salt water burned my nose and throat. I came up choking. My arms were already exhausted. I'm not a strong swimmer. I'd had lessons as a kid, but never really kept it up. I saw a piece of the boat, part of the deck or roof floating nearby. I kicked toward it and grabbed on. 3 other people were already clinging to it. None of them were people I knew. We held on. Minutes stretched into hours. The storm raged. I couldn't feel my legs anymore. One of the people on my debris raft, a young Thai woman, was crying and praying in Thai. Another guy, Australian accent, kept saying, "We're gonna be okay, we're gonna be okay," like mantra. I thought about my mom. I thought about Poppy. I thought about dying in the Andaman Sea at 28 because I wanted an adventure. What a stupid fucking way to go. Lights, suddenly. Lights in the distance. A boat, a real boat, a fishing vessel, cutting through the waves towards us. I started screaming and waving. We all did. They pulled us out of the water one by one. I couldn't stop shaking. My whole body convulsed. They wrapped us in those crinky emergency blankets and someone gave me water, which I immediately threw up. 23 people pulled from the water. That's what the fisherman captain said. 23 survivors. The party boat had carried 62 people. I found Raphael on the fishing boat. He was alive. Hypothermic, but alive. We grabbed each other and just held on. Both of us shaking. Tyler had made it. Brandon had made it. Fiona had not. I didn't know her last name. I never asked. We danced for maybe 20 minutes. Now she was gone. They took us to a small island with a clinic. I sat on a plastic chair wrapped in a blanket, watching the sun come up over the water, and felt nothing. Just empty. The clinic transferred the serious cases, including me, to a larger hospital on the mainland. I had hypothermia, minor cuts and bruises, and I was in shock. They kept me overnight for observation. The morning after, a nurse came with paperwork. The bill was 47,000 baht, about 1,100 UK pounds. "You have insurance?" she asked pleasantly. I did, sort of. I'd bought basic travel insurance before leaving the UK. The cheap kind that cost £40 for 3 months. I pulled out the crumpled policy documents I'd carefully left at the hostel and brought with me. The hospital building woman reviewed it with pursed lips. Then she looked up. "Your policy does not cover water activities," she said. "Many travel insurance policies exclude boat and motorbike accidents." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "Boat accident is excluded. You must pay yourself." I had £500 from my parents. That was it. My savings were already decimated from the trip. I didn't have £1,100. I can't pay that right now," I said. Her expression didn't change. "You must pay before discharge." Raphael was in a bed across the room, dealing with his own insurance nightmare. Tyler and Brandon had premium American insurance and were being treated like royalty. The disparity was stunning. I called my parents. That phone call was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I had to admit I'd nearly drowned, and I'd been irresponsible, that I needed them to bail me out again. My dad was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "We'll wire you the money. But Donnie, I need you to really think about whether you should stay there." "I will," I promised. I meant it. The money came through the next day. I paid the hospital and was released. Walking out into the sunshine, still sore and exhausted, I felt like a ghost. Raphael and I got a taxi van back to Bangkok together. Neither of us talked much. You'd think after robbery and near a drowning the universe would give me a break. You'd be wrong. 3 days after getting back to Bangkok, I was still processing everything. I've moved to a cheaper hostel in Pratunam to conserve money. I'd started seriously considering going home, but part of me, the stubborn part that made me quit my job in the first place, refused to give up. I met this girl named Nina at the new hostel. British, from Manchester, mid-20s, solo traveling for a year. She had a motorbike she'd rented monthly and offered to show me some less touristy parts of Bangkok. "I'm really careful," she promised. "I've been riding for 3 months. No issues." We headed out one afternoon toward Bang Krachao, this green area across the river, supposedly Bangkok's lung. The ride was actually nice. Wind in my face, seeing the city from street level. Nina was a confident rider. On the way back, crossing a bridge, we saw the flashing lights. "Police checkpoint." "Shit," Nina muttered. "Just be cool, smile, and be polite." We pulled over. 2 police officers approached, one older, one younger, both in brown uniforms. The older one, his name tag said something I couldn't read, asked for Nina's license in Thai. She handed over her UK license and international driving permit. He examined them for a long time. Too long. Then he said in English, "This not correct license for motorbike." "Yes, it is," Nina said firmly but politely. "International permit covers all vehicles." "No, in Thailand, need special motorbike license. This is not valid." This was a shakedown. I could tell from his tone. Tourists are often expected to pay to play with corrupt police. I'd read about it but thought it was exaggerated. "What do we need to do?" Nina asked carefully. "You have 2 choices," the officer said. "We take you to station, process fine, maybe 3 to 4 hours, or you pay fine here, 2,000 baht each. 4,000 baht total, about 95 pounds. Nina looked at me. We both knew this was bullshit. We also both knew we had no power here. "We don't have 4,000 baht," I said. The officer smiled, not friendly. "How much you have?" Nina pulled out her wallet. She had about 1,500 baht. I had 800. We just planned a short afternoon ride. 2,300 baht, the officer said, counting it. "Okay, this enough." He pocketed our money, handed back Nina's license. Safe driving. We got back on the bike in silence. Nina's hands were shaking. We rode back to the hostel and she immediately went to her room. I sat in the common area feeling sick. That was my breaking point. I lasted 5 more days in Bangkok. 5 days of barely leaving the hostel, eating instant noodles and watching my bank account. I spent nearly all of my savings. I had nothing to show for it except trauma and regret. Raphael had already left, headed to Vietnam, still convinced Southeast Asia was paradise. Tyler and Brandon had flown home. Nina checked out without saying goodbye. I was alone again. On July 29th, I booked a flight home. The earliest one I could afford was August 2nd. Those 4 days in between felt like purgatory. I wandered Bangkok like a zombie. I sat in Lumpini Park watching the monitor lizards and old people doing Tai Chi. I felt utterly alone, realizing that without speaking the language, I can never be in the inner circle. I met one person during those final days who mattered. a Thai woman named Pensri, who worked at a small cafe near my hostel. She was maybe 50, kind eyes, spoke basic English. She noticed I came in every day and looked miserable. One afternoon, she sat with me. "You look sad," she said simply. I told her everything. The whole story just poured out. She listened, nodding occasionally, and when I finished, she said, "Thailand is beautiful, but Thailand is also hard, especially for Falang who come seeking, what is word, magic." "I just wanted something different," I said. "Different you found," she smiled sadly. "But different is not always better, just different." She gave me a small Buddha amulet as I left, for protection. Little bit late, but maybe next time. There wouldn't be a next time, I thought. August 2nd of 2024, the flight from Bangkok to London felt like traveling through dimensions. I watched Bangkok disappear below, like that sprawling, chaotic, beautiful monster of a city, and felt complicated. I wasn't the same person who'd left. That Donnie had been naive and reckless and full of dreams. This Donnie was scared and broke and confused. Landing at Heathrow, seeing those gray skies, feeling that cool drizzle, I actually started crying. My dad picked me up. He didn't say "I told you so," he just hugged me for a long time in the arrivals area. "Welcome home, son." That night, back in my childhood bedroom in Nottingham, with my mom fussing over me and Poppy asking careful questions, I felt safe, but I also felt like I'd failed. It's been 6 months now, and I'm writing this in February of 2025. I got a new job, nothing exciting, back in insurance, but it pays the bills. I've been going to therapy. Turns out nearly drowning gives you PTSD. Who knew? But here's the thing nobody tells you about trauma. It changes your reference point for everything. My old problems, the one that made me flee to Bangkok, seem quaint now. Emma and Chad, who cares? My boring cubicle, at least I'm alive to sit in it. I've learned things I couldn't have learned any other way. Trust your instincts. Every single bad thing that happened, some part of me saw coming. I ignored it because I wanted the adventure more than I wanted safety. Cheap thrills cost more than you think. Those bucket drinks, that party boat, that motorbike ride, all budget options, all disasters. Sometimes paying more keeps you alive. The world doesn't care about your story. Bangkok has endless tragedies and involving tourists. 5 deadly boat accidents in a week alone. I was almost a statistic. Nobody would have cared except my family. Loneliness is universal. Whether you're in Nottingham or Bangkok, feeling disconnected is the same. At least in Nottingham, I understand the language when I'm miserable. Survival is its own kind of success. I didn't find myself in Thailand. I didn't come back transformed into some enlightened world traveler. I came back broken and poor. But I came back alive, and some people on that boat didn't. Would I do it again, knowing everything that happened? Yeah, probably. Not because it was fun. It wasn't. Not because I'd make the same choices. I wouldn't. But because those 47 days were the only time in my life I felt truly alive, even when I was dying. My sister Poppy asked me last week if I regret going. I thought about it for a long time. I regret how I went, I finally said, but I don't regret going. She understood. I still have that Buddha amulet from Pensri. It sits on my desk at work. Some days I look at it and feel angry. At Thailand. At myself. At how things went wrong. Other days I look at it and feel grateful. Grateful to be alive. Grateful to have a story. Grateful that I was brave enough, even if I was also stupid enough. Bangkok didn't save me like I thought it would. It nearly destroyed me. But in destroying the old Donnie, the one who was too scared to live, maybe it did save me after all. To anyone reading this and thinking about making their own escape, do it. But do it smart, Get proper insurance. Trust your gut. Don't drink from buckets. Watch the weather forecast before going on a boat. Keep your money hidden. Don't go anywhere alone with strangers, no matter how friendly they seem. And maybe, just maybe, recognize that sometimes the life you're running from isn't as bad as you think. Sometimes, ordinary is okay. Sometimes, boring is a blessing. But also, sometimes, you need to almost drown to remember why you wanted to swim in the first place. I'm saving up again, not for another trip, not yet, but for something. Some next chapter, some next adventure. When I'm ready, when I'm smarter. Bangkok taught me that the world is dangerous and beautiful and heartbreaking and worth it. All at once, all the time. Just like life. Donnie Webb, Nottingham, England.